Hello summoners, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to talk about old Man Logan. Now this guy has been in the game for a while. He was for a very long time the worst Wolverine in the game, but he was never that bad to be honest. But then he did get a buff with Colossus, and I haven't seen that many people using him. It was not the strongest of buffs, but at the same time he is a pretty decent character, and the main thing that I want people to know from this video is the fact that his regeneration makes him so suicide friendly. Like, we are going to make tons of mistakes, and by the way, like, we're not that like 30 seconds in, and this guy, like, he took a decent amount of health of Red Hulk. This is a rank 3 SIG 206 star, and we are running suicide mastery. We are not running any kind of boost though, and you can see, like, when we do not have furies, we're not hitting that hard, but like the SP2 is doing some decent damage, plus the critical bleeds are doing some decent damage, and on top of that we are gaining a lot of furies. Now, for a character who can gain like up to 15 furies, he doesn't hit that hard even with the furies. Like, it's alright damage, it's very respectable, but they go away kind of soon. You also have like armor break on the SP1, but again you can't really take advantage of that too much. Like, if you go for SP1 rotation, even then, like, because the regeneration is so strong, I don't think recoil will be much of a problem, but you are going to miss out on your bleed damage, because unlike the other two Wolverines, like, I don't want to talk about Wolverine Weapon X too much because he is kind of unique and very rare, and I don't really know how he works. But the other two Wolverines, they have bleeds on the basic hits, which is not something that he does. Like, his all the bleed damage does come from the SP2, and he also has some kind of bleed of the SP3. We are going to use SP3 in this video, but it's not very strong, or at least in my experience it wasn't very strong. And like, you can see right now we have a lot of furies. I'm going to make again a lot of mistakes, but we are eventually going to, like, probably end the fight at 100% full yellow bar. And I have to ride him in a lot of stuff other than labyrinth also, and we are going to show some. I think I'm not sure, it is, I don't want this video to be too long because he is a really simple character. I'm going to talk about his abilities, but again, basically he has bleed damage, he has furies, he has armor breaks, and he has some pretty strong bleeds. But that's pretty much it. Like, he's not a very complicated character, and I don't know if I can even talk about him for more than 8 minutes. But anyways, let's get started with the fact that his regeneration is kind of dependent on the Sabertooth synergy. Now, he regenerates without it, but it's not as strong. It's like a huge boost to his regeneration. Now, Sabertooth, he's not a bad character. He has some really powerful synergy, especially like with Sasquatch, with Omega Red. So I don't think it's very impractical to put them both in one team, and I think he is going to be a pretty decent lane clearer for a lot of stuff, like the constant regeneration, the fact that he is like, we have thrown a bunch of specials at this point, and we got hit as well. You can see, like, we are at full yellow bar, even though we also have the poison ticking all the time, and like, we are constantly using special attacks or taking recoil damage, but it doesn't even take us down by that much. Plus, he also has the utility to shrug off some debuffs faster, so that is also kind of helpful. I'm not sure what happened at that point. Like, the heavy just stuck, and like, his heavy attack, it's kind of cool. It's very different from the other two Wolverines, but overall I would say he still is. I think for a very short period of time after his buff, he might have been the best Wolverine in the game for a very short time, but as a horseman, OG Wolverine, he is just so OP. Like, his damage output is ridiculous with all the critical bleeds and everything, and on top of that, his regeneration was always the best. And I might say that I will probably at one point do a damage comparison between him and X23. And X23, the only thing that hurts her is the bleed cap of having not, like, she can't do more than 5 bleeds at a time. But at the same time, because the bleeds are associated with the basic attacks and not special attacks, I think she will probably outdamage him, because even for rank 3, this guy, he has respectable damage, and if you, like, for a newer player, this could be really good pull. You can, for anything up to Act 5, Act 6, he is going to crush lanes, and he is going to regenerate back to full, and he is going to hit decently hard. But after that, when you really need a lot of utilities plus some damage, I don't think he's going to be a character who a lot of people like. You can see not that many people are using him. He can be alright for, I guess, gamey nodes. Basically, the more you regen, the more damage you deal to the opponent. But outside of that, and even then, like Hex 23 Wolverine, they don't really need any synergies for the regeneration. So and I'm not really sure where I would see people using him. Like, I have him as a 6-star awaken on the main server. This, of course, is a CCP beta, and I'm not really sure what I want to do with him, because I think he is kind of underrated. I think like, if you are not in the end game, you don't have a very developed roster, you pull this guy, then he's a pretty decent pull. I think he can get you through a lot of stuff. But at the same time, if you do have a very developed roster, then he's not really best for anything. And he does benefit quite a bit from some synergies. So that is pretty much all I have to say about Old Man Logan. By the way, a fun story, he was one of my earlier 4-star characters back in the day, and he was the first character where I was actually interested in the backstory, because I read the bio and I wasn't interested. I searched on YouTube and like watched a lot of stuff on this guy, and he does have a pretty cool backstory there. On top of that, I should also mention that he is not a Horseman of Apocalypse in this video, because I no longer have Apocalypse on the CCP beta. But I don't imagine he would benefit every mutant does benefit from it, but I don't think it will be a huge benefit to him. Of course, the prowess and everything else will be nice to have, but 300 something is not bad. And again, we ended the fight with basically, I didn't exactly see, but I think we ended it with a pretty decent amount of health. And the same thing is going to happen. Like, you never leave 100% health. Look at that. We also have the bleed ticking, we have the poison, and we're going to use SP2. Of course, with the recoil, we are going to take some damage, but the regeneration on this guy is definitely the most impressive thing about him. And you can see like 11,000 medium attacks, not bad. He doesn't crit that often, otherwise maybe. And I wish, like, if I could have one change made to this character, I would say make his furies more potent and a little bit longer, and this guy would be pretty good, because he gains a lot of furies, and I do imagine that would be like, he could be an option for buffed up. Not really the best option, because again, the furies, they don't really last that much. You do also have regeneration almost up all the time, so that is like, you do have a decent amount of buffs on this guy. So I forgot to mention this, but his special attacks, you've probably seen by now, they are unblockable, which is kind of cool. It's definitely something that I do appreciate on a character. And like, these days, back in the day, there were very few characters who had unblockable. Like, Loki was probably the OG character who had unblockable on the SP2, but these days unblockable is becoming more common. Here I showed a quick example how that was kind of useful, but at the same time, not the best unblockable. Like, we have characters these days who are unblockable on all hits at some point. So yeah, but that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share with your alliance, and stay safe. Bye bye.